start off with today's review with a thank you to one of my viewers here on the channel, Ethan. He was kind enough to send in his Sangin Instruments Professional watch. This was Ethan's first Sangin. He also currently serves in the US military as an infantryman, which is a man right after my own heart. This particular watch has been out in the field multiple times and it's been put to the test over the last year or two of ownership. He just received his Sangin Atlas, which has been his personal grail watch, which is awesome. So what you're seeing here right now is a watch that has had thousands of rounds put through it downrange. It's been time tested in the field and it still performs amazing. With that being said, before I get into this review, make sure you like this video if you enjoy the content, especially if you like seeing watches that you might not see on other YouTube channels. Also, please subscribe to this channel. It really helps my channel grow, as I'm just a watch enthusiast and I love to share you through, take you through my journey. With that being said, before I get in this review, make sure you like this video if you enjoy this content, especially seeing watches that you might not see on other YouTube channels. Also, please subscribe to this channel. It would really help my channel grow, as I'm just a watch enthusiast and I love to share my journey with you. Also, if you have a Sangin Professional or any Sangin watch for that matter, make sure you comment down below, because I know this brand has a huge following and it's growing each and every day. And I'm sure those users would love to hear what your experiences are as an owner as well. This is going to be my third review on Sangin watches. My first review was of the Overlord, the Merlin, and the Kinetic 2. And you can watch that video right here. I'm going to put a tag right here. Those three watches were also sent in by a friend of mine and a viewer of this channel. The next review I did was of my own Atlas, which I have right here today to show you next to this Professional. You can see the review of this piece right here. I'm going to put another tag in. Being more of a watch enthusiast at this stage of my life versus a field operator, I love the feeling of having and operating a mechanical automatic watch. So having quartz timepieces like this Professional was never really on my radar, but I 100% understand the demand for these timepieces, especially with those of you that serve in the military or the police force or any other profession that would demand a watch that not only is built tough, but you don't need to spend time winding the watch, resetting the watch, resetting the time. It's always ready to go, even if you set it down for a few days. Also, the dependability of having a quartz timepiece makes a ton of sense when you're firing live shots out of rifles, downrange, or you're in a profession where you don't have to worry about a watch with hundreds of moving little parts like automatic timepieces. According to the Sangin website, the Professional was actually the prototype of the Kinetic 2. And this prototype was in the hands of some people, but the demand started to grow for these prototypes, so they ended up just offering this as a watch that could be for purchase on the Sangin site. This particular watch comes with two different tile colors, the sea blue and the black. Obviously, this is the sea blue variant. The finish on this watch is brushed, but they also offer this watch in a DLC version, which is really pretty. When you order a Professional, you also have the ability to have a GMT bezel insert, as you see here, or you can order it with a diver's bezel insert. I will talk about the bezel action in a little bit in greater detail. One of the unique features about this watch is that it is a diver's watch, but it also has a GMT hand, which gives this particular watch a lot of flexibility for people that travel or buy a watch with diver capabilities, but really want a watch that can be used so many different ways. That's the Professional. The watch itself has a case width of 43.5 millimeters. The lug-to-lug distance is 49.5 millimeters, but it's a quartz movement, so it's only 12 millimeters thick, which is nice for a diver. It's got 20 millimeter lug distance with drilled lug holes, making it super easy to swap out straps. Since I'm a bit of a strap whore, I actually do love that feature. This watch is made out of 316L stainless steel, and you can see the beautiful chamfering on the case. Some of the feedback that I got from Ethan about the long-term wearability of this watch is the 3 o'clock crown. Even though the 3 o'clock crown is nestled into the side of the case a little bit, you can see how it's kind of carved into the case. He does say that the 3 o'clock crown will dig into his wrist sometimes when he's out in the field, but having the watch with no crown guards nestled in there, it does give it a more distinctive diver look, in my opinion. Even though the profile of the case has flat sides with a 43 millimeter diameter, it still wears a bit smaller than the specs would suggest it would. I think the reason why is because you can see the dial is a bit smaller and the bezel actually sits inside of the case. The watch crystal is a slightly domed crystal with multiple layers of AR on the underside of the crystal, which makes this watch extremely legible. And in the sunlight, this sea blue color is pretty mesmerizing. Lume on this watch is really spectacular. It's a BGW9, and you can see it glowing beautifully after being outside. But what's also interesting is on the bezel insert, the triangle is in C3. So it's actually a different color. The water resistance for this watch is 300 meters, which makes it very capable for any mission you're on. The screw down crown operates positively, and when you pull it out, it stops and hacks the second hand, making operating and setting the precise time in the Swiss Ronda Quartz movement a breeze. The movement itself is a collar GMT, so when you pull out the crown and you have it in the first position, one direction will change the date, the other direction will move the GMT hand. Ethan did mention that he had a difficult time lining up the GMT right to the top of the hour, but that's probably more of an example of this specific movement in this watch, not an issue with other examples. Going back to the bezel action is solid. It's a 120 click unidirectional bezel. Ethan also mentioned this thing's been through mud and dirt and grime, and it's still, in my experience, it works pretty well, and he thinks it's kind of gritty. But as a diver's watch, this is what you want, a 120 click unidirectional bezel. But since you can order it with the GMT insert, like you see here, you have to keep in mind that it will still be 120 click and unidirectional, which isn't great for a GMT, but just keep that in mind when you're ordering which bezel you want. Let's talk a little bit more about the dial, the details on the dial, and the handset. The dial, as I've mentioned, already is so beautiful with this sea blue color, but the indices are really distinct and they're painted on with generous applications of lume. The handset is unique as a diver's watch. The minute hand is a sword-style plunger orange hand, which plunger is the French word for diver. But I don't know if you guys all know this, the orange color, there's been tests that have been done. It is the most legible color in the deepest, darkest water, just so you all know. But having that plunger hand is really a nice touch for a dive watch, as it does make it extra legible in low light conditions. The hour hand is all white, and it contrasts nicely with the dial. The GMT hand is a black hand with a distinguishable orange triangle that goes right to the edge of that dial. The inner chapter ring is a 24-hour scale, so you can track the extra time zone through the inner chapter ring. So if you do have that diver's bezel insert, you still can keep track of a secondary time zone that way. But with the rotating GMT bezel on this watch, it allows you to track a third time zone, which is a great feature for anyone operating in multiple continents. Yeah, if you didn't notice the date wheel, it's in black. And in my opinion, it disappears nicely into the dial, which makes it almost unnoticeable with everything else going on. One of the really unique features that I've noticed on some of these Sangin watches, if you look on the outside of the bezel, you'll see that it's secured on by some screws. That's a really nice touch that you won't see very often, especially on a microbrand. But you'll find it on nice Swiss timepieces like Breitling's, which are very well known for that. Although the case back of this watch is scratched up a bit from being out in the field, it is a plain case back, which is perfect for engraving anything you want. If you take a look at Sangin's Instagram account, you'll notice there are a lot of people that engrave their own names, or maybe the company they're with, and sometimes they put their battalion logos, all sorts of things. It's pretty cool. So as you can probably tell, I'm a big fan of what Sangin is doing. Jake, the founder of Sangin Instruments, is also a Marine Raider. And being a Marine myself, I love supporting his brand. But I have to admit, the quality of these watches, they are spectacular. This isn't your everyday microbrand company. These watch pieces are not off the shelf. They're all unique. So they do demand a little bit of a higher price for a microbrand watch, but what you do receive is distinctive quality and durability. One of the things I wanted to talk about is the price of the Sangin Professional. It doesn't show you what the price is on the website. When they do come in, you'll be notified. But the watch also comes with a black rubber strap and a Zulu Alpha strap. I've done reviews on the Zulu Alpha strap and I love them. And I was a little bummed out that the Atlas did not come with a Zulu Alpha strap, but I ended up purchasing one separately anyway. The one drawback that I see as a common complaint with, most watch enthusiasts is that they want to own a Sangin, they want to own it now. But if you go to the Sangin website, there's pretty much a very good chance, if not 100% chance, that they're not going to be just readily available and in stock. Jake usually releases each model in small batches, so it's important, if you really like these watches, make sure you get yourself on their email list. He's really good at informing his customer base via email and social media when certain models become available, but you have to be ready to pull the trigger at that time. I should also mention, the Professional comes with this very cool Pelican case, and it does have a Zulu Alpha strap that's included, and a rubber strap as well. The Zulu Alpha that you see right now is actually mine, but I believe that the ones when you order them, they come with that Bond-style gray and black one. Another thing you'll notice with this brand is it's worn and trusted by so many military, police, and professional service people around the world for a reason. And looking at this Professional, you can see it's been through a lot, but it still looks and performs great. For me, as I explained to you in prior videos, I'm not a huge Quartz watch fan, but what I was most impressed by when first handling this watch was the heft of the watch. Usually Quartz watches feel a little lighter. It's not built as well, but this one, it feels good. And if you weigh the watch head of this Professional next to the Atlas, they do feel very similar. The build quality is on par with each other, and it feels like you can take this watch anywhere and never have to worry about it failing on you. So what's that worth to you? Well, to me, it's worth a lot. Well, guys and gals, if you made it this far, let me introduce myself. My name's Blake. I'm a bit of a watchaholic, and if you've made it this far, I bet you are one too. So I want to thank you for spending your time with me today, and I'll see you guys on the next video.